What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Dave. I'm a photographer from the Bay Area of California, and it's currently winter in California. And in the Bay Area, that means that it's gray and raining basically every single day. There is another fellow YouTuber and friend of mine named Lucas, and you can check out his channel right here. I follow a lot of these guys on Threads, and yesterday, Lucas posted this right here. And I felt it to my core. I felt it for two reasons. One, I am exhausted. Two, I'm actually really passionate about this topic as a creative and for creatives like yourself. If you were to read the description of my channel or even just look at my channel's landing page here on YouTube, it says photography and philosophy. And a really important part of this channel to me, and why I started this channel, I didn't want to just be another gear channel or a channel about photography. There's way better photographers and way better gear reviewers than I am ever going to be. But I wanted to talk about philosophy. And I don't necessarily mean like ancient philosophers and those kinds of things. I'm talking about philosophical things for creatives. I think of philosophy like cultural values, like what do we think about who we are and how we want to be. Unsafe area. Thinking we probably shouldn't go that way. Let's go this way instead. And with philosophical thoughts in mind, I thought we'd go on a little walk today, like we're walking side by side. We'll take some photos while it's drizzling here in the rain and hopefully not destroy my Leica M11. We'll look for some nice compositions here in this gray, completely wet and overcast day, and talk as friends, and maybe why we are all so exhausted. So let's start with why I think I'm exhausted and why I think maybe we're all feeling just exhausted these days. All right, so I've thought through like personally why I'm so tired. And I'm not talking about like the superficial things like I'm getting older, so I don't have the energy I used to have. That is true. Or things like I've got two small kids that wear me out. That also is true, but there's more to it. Because if we're all feeling it, then it's more universal than my age and my kids. So as I thought through the things that have made me exhausted, I identified three that I think are pretty universal. The first one at the macro level is stress. And stress is kind of like two things. One, it's reactive, like things happen or things come up, situations that are either out of our control or imposed upon us, and we react to them and we feel the stress, the anxiety, and that physically takes a toll on our bodies and makes us exhausted. Stress can also be self-imposed, meaning that the thing that is stressing you or the things that are stressing you, you are imposing upon yourself. I do this a lot, by the way, and they don't actually exist in reality. Oh, hold on, here's a good shot. I often find that my self-imposed stress is sometimes some of like my worst stress because I can death spiral about what I think is expected of me from other people, or maybe even like what I expect of me, and keep none of it realistic, and then feel a lot of stress and tension from those expectations. Now, I said all of that was at the macro level because stress is a pretty general and generic word. But if we zoom in on stress, especially on a creative, the micro word we lead to is burnout. The thing that you used to love to do, or the things that gave you life, no longer do that. You don't want to do it at all. You're burned out. It's like burnout is the ultimate form of exhaustion in a creator's life. Because of burnout, you can easily make a lot of poor decisions. You can make them creatively, like quitting. You can get super irrational real fast about your current situation. Even the people in your life, you can get very irrational about. So you want to prevent burnout and try to minimize stress as much as possible. I mean, we're humans, we're gonna feel these things to some degree, but we should definitely try to minimize them as much as possible. So we just talked about stress, burnout. That's kind of like the first thing. The second thing I think is that we don't say the word no enough at all. Years ago, I read this book by Dr. Henry Cloud called Necessary Endings. I'm gonna link it below because I think it would be an incredible resource for you. He kind of makes the case that there are times where things need to end out of necessity. A lot of times we think of endings as bad, but sometimes endings are just that. They're endings. They don't need a label of good and bad. They just need to end. As I have gotten older and hopefully a little wiser, no has entered my vocabulary a lot more, both reactive and proactive. And what I mean by that is that when I'm asked to do something, even if it's with a good friend, sometimes I just say no. I have to say no because every moment of time is allotted to one thing or another. And if you spend that time in one area, you can't spend that time in another. Just today, a friend asked me to ride along somewhere with them, and I love this person with all my heart, but I said no. And as much as I would have loved to spend time with that person, I had other things I needed to accomplish today. So I said no. If I would have said yes, I would have gone. I would have had a great time relationally, but I would have added stress, which we talked about a minute ago, and further increased the odds of me burning out. And I didn't want to do that. And guess what? The no's not a big deal. So we can reactively say no and then proactively let things end as well. Meaning that we can take inventory of our life, of where we are in our situation. By the way, I'm like looking for compositions as we're walking here. I've got one. I've got to shoot this real quick. So as I take like inventory of my life and look at like where I am and where I want to be, sometimes things just have to end to get you there. And those are proactive decisions to let them end. But if we don't let things end when their season is over, and if we are constantly saying yes to everything, we are gonna be perpetually exhausted, like non-stop. And when I'm feeling exhausted, it's probably because I've said yes just way too much. Okay, and the third thing, and the final thing on why we are all so exhausted is that we're not resting. And for the back half of this video, I want to talk to you and get real honest about rest. Because this is the area I've struggled with the most all of my adult life. And a big part of it came from a lack of understanding how to rest. I'm feeling this composition. Okay, so it's never been my place to push any type of spiritualism on any of you. Never intend to do that. But there is a book called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality by an author named Peter Scazzaro. Again, the link is down below if this is something you'd be into. And he talks about spirituality and how to make it emotionally healthy. Obviously the title. Woo! Okay, this is what I came up here for. Wow. Okay, I'm hyping it up and you might not be impressed at all, but California. So one of the most important chapters in this book is about rest, and specifically from a spiritual standpoint, the Jewish and Christian principle of Sabbath. Now, I don't have any plans to start breaking this down from a theological perspective, but I do think there are some principles from the concept of Sabbath that you can bring into your life and let it recharge you some. Hey, real quick, if you are watching this video and you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I do a lot about Leica Leica, and if you like Leica cameras or you like this philosophical stuff, be sure to follow along through the adventures I'll take you on this year. So hit that subscribe button below. All right, guys, we just got some light. I'm like kind of geeking out because I live down there and this is like at its best in the wintertime. Kind of geeking out. It doesn't get much better than this. Wow, look at this, guys. All right, running up the hill because I want to see if there's anything on the backside with, oh God, tripod's falling, tripod's falling. Running up here, God, I'm too fat to do this. Wow, there's a little rainbow showing up now. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here for this moment. Yeah, and the camera's completely blown out. I wasn't expecting sunlight. Wow, look at this. Two quick thoughts. One, if you are a spiritual person, we will call this affirmation that this is what we should be talking about today. Two, those that are not here in California may laugh at all of us for always talking about how California is like the greatest place in the US and possibly the world. Okay, I know there's a lot of debate about both of those statements, but I love living in California. So as I was sharing about the principle of Sabbath, and I'm not gonna walk you through like this whole chapter in this book or this whole concept, but I'm just gonna kind of like summarize it real quick for you. We think of rest as like laying on the couch, doing nothing, vegging out, or like having a day, like a sick day. Like when we were in school and we needed to rest, we fake like we were sick so we could stay home and watch The Price is Right. If you did that, give me a like. We have this idea that rest is doing nothing. In the book, he presents a case that rest or Sabbathing looks like doing things that recharge you. So not doing nothing, but doing things that actually give you life and give you energy. If anything, doing nothing makes me more tired. Like if I spend the whole day on the couch doing nothing all day, I'm actually more tired at the end of the day than I would be if I went out and did things that made me feel alive. Right now, I am hiking near my home. It is raining. I have got my M11 with me. You can see on the bag is nice and wet. Thankfully, it hasn't been raining like crazy. It's just a little drizzle. It could be completely pouring on me by the time I get back to my car in about half an hour. And my trusty Sony a7S III with a Rode mic is riding along with me. It is heavy. My arms are sore because I am a weak human being. I'm hiking out here alone where there are mountain lions and wild boar that come out at sunset. And I'm gonna do everything I can to avoid both of those things as I hike back. Nobody is out here because it is raining and Californians do not go outside in the rain. But guess what? I feel restful right now. Yes, I'm winded. Yes, my arms are tired. Yes, I feel a little anxiety about the isolation I am experiencing right now out in these hills. But it's giving me life. It's energizing me. It's giving me rest. And I bet many of you, if you're feeling completely exhausted and you were to look at your last 7 days, I bet you're not doing a ton of things that give you life and give you energy. And look, you don't have to go out and hike. Sometimes the things that give me life are working on some presets like I do for Very Good Presets. Shameless plug, link is below. Sometimes it's playing Zelda on the Nintendo, both old school and the latest one. Ultimately, what gives me life and recharges me is when I'm doing things creatively that I love to do. And you may be saying, well, look, I work 40 hours a week or more. I live in a place that isn't California and beautiful around me. I don't have great gear or access to any things. And look, I've been in every one of those situations. I used to work a grueling job that demanded a lot of me. I used to live on the East Coast in a country town without access to things like this around me. I used to shoot back when it was just a point and shoot digicam, and then eventually the original iPhone, and the rest has been history. The point is, you can't let those things be excuses for not getting recharged, not getting life back through your veins. There's another principle, and it's that you have everything you need if you make the most of what you have. You can live in the most boring town in America. Go out and capture why it's boring. You can live on the busiest street in Germany. Go out and capture it at its busiest moment. Go for a walk, find someone sitting on a park bench and have a conversation if you're an extrovert. That will give you life, and also creep them out, which is like a bonus point. The bottom line is, you need to do things that recharge your soul, that recharge your spirit, that give you life. That is what rest looks like. Wow, it is a lot easier to walk downhill than uphill. Okay, it's blue hour, it's raining. Gonna grab a couple more photos though, because I mean, we're here, right? And this is a totally different experience walking back than walking in. So we are all feeling exhausted. We're feeling it because of stress. We're feeling it because of burnout. We're feeling it because we say yes too much. We're feeling it because we are not proactively ending things that need to end in our life. And we're feeling it because we are not resting. The answers to those things, as difficult as they may be to live out, are pretty simple. Work on your head and your heart to experience less stress by thinking rationally. Another link below to a guide by Dr. David Burns. Again, changed my life. Help me think rationally, helps me feel less stress. Right below. We've got to start saying no. We've got to start working on life and not just going through the motions every day in the same routine, saying yes to everything and then getting ourselves exhausted all the time. And ultimately, we've got to learn to rest and recharge our soul and our spirit. All right, guys, I'm gonna pick up the pace because it is getting very dark very fast. And I meant what I said about mountain lions up here. We do have them. I have seen them up here, but I'm actually more afraid of the wild boar because they are massive up here. They are roaming these hills in massive herds, and they hate people. They truly hate people. All right, I'm out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, all the things, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, that was dumb.